So I'm a middle child, which a lot of middle children will tell you does a number on your self-worth. Firstborn's always like, you feel like they do the best, and the younger siblings get the most love. But honestly, it's not that bad. My brother Sai, he's 30 now. He kind of went from one end of the spectrum of how to disappoint your baby boomer parents by starting off as a World of Warcraft addict and moving into being an isolationist, self-sustaining farmer in northern Canada. Complete 180. I remember one night my parents and I, we were watching the news together, and a segment comes on about apocalypse preppers. And about midway through the segment, we see a clip of Sai come onto the screen. He's shirtless, and he's talking about defending his home from roving bandits. It was at that moment that I could feel the love that my parents felt for me just skyrocket. Like, I could see the fear in their eyes, and I knew I had moved up a rank on the list of Asian kids. So it's not that common that the middle child is the favorite, especially the one that went to art school. But yeah, like my brother's a doomsday hippie, and my sister has a reading disability, so I'd say my position is pretty safe. So my self-worth is pretty good. I mean, just look at my confidence. There's about 60 of these babies that say I heard Theo on them just all over the country. It started around in high school, like senior year. I made one for me and my friend as a little bit, but then like everyone wanted one in the school, so I had to raffle it out. It was that like, if I wanted to start a cult, like I feel like I could now. Like it's really blown up. And then, it's kind of worked in college too, but it's kind of taken like a darker turn. Amongst my friend group, a bet started without my input to see who could get laid the fastest while wearing one of the iron. It had to be with a stranger, of course. They couldn't be in on the joke. I personally think it's kind of insulting that wearing a shirt with my face on it is like a deterrent. But it's also kind of flattering that it's worked. I mean, this shirt has banged more people than me. So freshman spring, it ended on a high note because of that. With the cult getting reestablished. Freshman fall started off on a pretty dark note. It's that time when half the class is going wild and the other half wonders if they forgot how to make friends after 7th grade. One of the first people I met in the city was Ashley. We hung out for a few weeks. No sexual tension, super platonic. She had a long-distance boyfriend. One night she talked about hooking up, and I was like, I thought it was a joke. She's like super sarcastic. I tried to check to see if she was still dating that boy. She responded really vaguely with confusion. Should have been a warning sign right there. One thing led to another. We started getting intimate. And she hadn't given me a definite no on the boyfriend thing. So I took her reply to mean like, oh yeah, they're finished. This is the part where the narrator says they weren't finished. The second I found out they were still together, I started to freak. I was also kind of worried for my own safety because I knew this dude was ripped and he was coming to visit her in a few weeks. And you see, I thought he'd figure out what happened pretty fast because I had this idea that Brad was a master of deduction for 2 reasons. The first reason is that half his face is paralyzed so that one of his eyebrows is always raised like this, so it looks like he's constantly questioning things. The second reason is that Brad wanted to be a detective. Ashley once showed me a flirtatious text that he sent about his fantasy future that reads, "When we're married, I'll be a detective and you'll work as a therapist from home. I can see you cooking eggs in the kitchen and I'll come up from behind you and we'll start making out." Here I was, realizing at 4 a.m. that I was about to take away this dude's weird breakfast-themed fantasy, and that we only had so long to tell him. I get home, and about 30 minutes later, he's like already texting me. I'm like, damn, this guy's good. The first thing I receive is, "You should be careful what you do, Theo." A few more ominous texts follow, and for what he lacked in subtlety, he made up for it by having huge, scary muscles. I just chose not to respond to it, and then about 10 more minutes pass, and an even worse message follows. Apparently, Ashley had told him something happened, but was too vague about it, so he immediately jumps to the conclusion that I had abused her. So when she clarified that's not what happened, but didn't tell him the full truth, he sends me, "Dude, I'm sorry I thought you harmed her. Big misunderstanding. Honestly, if you and me sat down and got to know each other, I think we'd get along pretty well." So I'm like, fuck. This guy is reaching out to me as if we're friends, and I just actually did him the biggest wrong. At the same time, it's not my place to tell him the truth. So I just send him back, "I think we'd be friends too. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Have a good night." why the fuck was I trying to befriend this dude? Like, here I was planning to play date with a guy who's about to find some very good justifications for beating the shit out of me. Thankfully, I've grown a lot since then. I don't do stupid shit anymore. But I was tripping last Sunday. And we started off in Central Park. You know, I started off pretty confident. I was like, you know what? No worries. It's not going to be a bad trip. And one of the, you know, it starts kicking in at the same time as we get to the statue of Balto the dog. Balto is some like hero husky or something that did something big. We were trying to figure out what it was. We didn't really know. And suddenly this guy approaches us, like literally out of nowhere, with no introduction. And this is just when it's starting to kick in. And he comes over and he says, you know what really freaks me out about this statue? So like my favorite movie is Star Wars Episode 5. And all I can think about when I see it is like Han Solo getting put in the carbonite. It just gets me thinking like, what if there's an alive dog inside that statue? Just trapped there for like ever. And what the fuck? Like, first of all, like, are we hallucinating? Is this man real? Second of all, what are we supposed to do about this alive dog in the statue? If there was any moment where it was going to turn into a bad trip, it would have been right there in front of the Balto statue. And that's all I got.
6 minutes, 28 seconds.